Greetings, everybody. I'm Jeremiah.
That's him.
She's Vania.
That's me. Welcome to another episode of the Beard and Curls podcast, where culture and creativity meets consciousness.
And if you're new here, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite platform for the latest, most exciting conversations anywhere.
You ready?
I'm ready. Cue that intro.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Margot Bingham.
Karen Parsons.
You're now tuned in.
You're now tuned in.
You are now tuned in.
You are now tuned in
to Beard and Curls.
Beard and Curls.
Beard and Curls.
Beard and Curls.
Beard and Curls. Keep it locked.
Today's guest is an international dancer who has traveled to over 50 countries.
She's the author of Solo Jump.
We're talking about none other than Solange Zindzi.
Solange, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you on. So now today we're going to do a deep dive into your book, Solo Jump. So what was the inspiration behind this book?
Well, the motivation was Corona because I lost my job and I was actually beginning of the year still on a tour with Cheyenne, a Latin artist. And of course the concert left and I was basically like, all right, I have no job. The world is going to go on hold and I don't know for how long. So I went back to Curacao. And I sat down with myself and I was like, how can I do something that feels good for me? So I'm not feeling like I'm wasting my time during this lockdown, but also is fulfilling me in a certain way. And with the life that I've been living for the last 10 years, traveling a lot and mostly achieving a lot of my dreams, a lot of people always said to me, man, I think you're so inspiring and you're so motivating. And I'm interested in your mindset. How does it work? So I started to think like, maybe I should start thinking about my tools in life and how do I deal with setbacks? How do I deal with challenges? What is my mindset to actually achieve my dreams and visualize? And that kind of became the inspiration and motivation of my book, of just writing down my personal tools and how I achieve my dreams so that hopefully I can inspire other people and help other people to also just get their powers back to actually jump and just go for their dreams.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I saw that the book has about more than 200 pages, right? And you started writing at the beginning of the pandemic. So how did you manage to write all of that and finish the book and publish the book, like all of that in such a short time?
I wrote it actually in 6 weeks and I kind of gave myself that time. I know it's crazy. I still don't even believe it when I tell people this, but it actually happened because in Curacao, we had a 6-week lockdown. And I know I'm a person that I'm always out and about and I love adventure. And I knew that the moment the lockdown would go away, I would want it to be out. I would want to go to the beach and get out there. So I said to myself, I like to finish what I started. So if I start this process, if I start this book, I'm just going to make it happen in 6 weeks. And then I actually did. And then I said to myself, because this was around March, April this year, and my birthday, my 30th birthday was in July. And I was like, you know what? If I just push through, I'm going to give this book to myself for my birthday. And then I can present it on my birthday. But that's in 4 months. So I kind of gave myself a new goal. And I was like, if I'm really going to do this, I have to make it happen before my birthday. And that kind of gave me this whole new drive to just push it through and make it happen. And I knew if I would get a publisher, it would take way longer. And I'm a very curious person. So I was like, if I give everything away, I'm not going to learn anything. Of course, I learned a lot with the process of writing, but I wanted to learn how to make a connection with people, how to sell, how to do marketing, how actually goes it from your laptop into a book, how do you get there? So that's also the reason why I said, you know what, I'm going to do it by myself. And of course, I needed some people here and there to help and support me, but yeah.
And as far as like accomplishments, things that you've done, obviously you gave yourself a goal. Where does this rank for you on the list of accomplishments that you've accomplished so far?
Ooh, well, it's been a very unexpected accomplishment. So that's why it ranks really high, because all my other accomplishments, like I dreamt about them for almost 30 years. So I feel like the preparation of it has been years and years. And when you accomplish it, it feels good. But this was something that it was always on my mind. But I thought I'll do it when I'm like 60 and I have time. And then Corona happened and I was like, oh, I guess this is what's happening now. And then I pushed it through and I was in such a roller coaster ride. It went so quickly that I actually didn't really realize that I did it until I physically had it in my hand. I was like, man, I wrote this. This is weird.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, like that you wrote it in 6 weeks. So can you tell us a little bit about how your days looked like?
I started with the mind mapping because even the how the book was gonna go, I had no idea really. I literally just went. It popped in my head to be like, hey, maybe write a book, and then I just wrote down really quickly, kind of like, okay, what are my tools? Let's say I trust my intuition is my first tool. Okay, write it down. What examples in my life do I think of that I really use that tool? And then I just mind mapped, and that's what I kind of did with all 10, and eventually it became 11 chapters. But and I'm not really a person that when I'm creative and I feel creative, no matter in what direction, I can do this for hours and hours, but I don't really work really good under forcement. Even though I can force myself with the time management, but I need to feel it. So what happened is I literally wrote whenever I felt like it, which means that sometimes I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, but I just woke up in the middle of the night and I would think of something and I would be like, I have to write this down right now. And then I would write, and I could write for like 10 hours back to back. And on other days, I would wake up thinking I was going to write, but then in the morning, I would be like, I don't feel like writing today. And then suddenly at 9 p.m., I would be like, I feel inspired. I just went with whenever I felt like writing, I did it. But if I didn't feel like it, I didn't. But I was in such a flow that it just happened every day.
Wow, no, that's awesome. So then let me ask you this, because a lot of times when people are creative, like you just talked about, they get their inspiration from different places. And like you said, maybe you wake up at 4 a.m. one day and start doing something, and then other days you may not want to wake up at all. So like when you're writing this book, as you're writing it, who do you have in mind that you're writing this for? Because sometimes people just do things for themselves, and sometimes they have to do things with others in mind. So what was the inspiration?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I actually didn't really know my audience completely yet, because in the beginning I was really wide. I was more like, it's just for everybody, and I think everybody can learn something. And I kind of also did it for myself as a healing process. They were such general tools that in the beginning I was like, I think everybody can relate. But then I started to think, and I thought maybe this book is something that I would have wanted to read when I started this adventure. So maybe I should just keep myself in mind as the most ideal client, basically. So I ended up writing it for myself, which means at this point, I write it for people that have similar visions like I did. That doesn't mean that you have to be a dancer and want to go on a world tour, but it can be if you feel like you want to start your own clothing brand, or if you feel like you want to do something that you've never done before, but you just need to find the power and the confidence to put yourself to it. Like anybody with a dream that wants to actually achieve it and turn it into a goal, like something that you feel and experience, then it's for you.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice. And what was the inspiration behind the title of your book?
Well, it's actually funny because my name is Solange, but my nickname is Solo. And in Curacao, the island that my dad is from, Solo means sun. And people always say to me like, oh my God, your personality, you're our little sunshine. So that's already, Solo stands for Solange for me, like Solange jump. It also stands for sun, like I want people to shine when they're jumping. I want them to glow. And third of all, solo also stands for alone. So when you're jumping off a cliff with a parachute, you have to do it by yourself. Like you have to make sure that you have the powers and the confidence to just fly and land. And that's why solo also means like independent. And of course, sorry, jump, it kind of says it already, but you just gotta jump. You just gotta do it. Jump off the cliff, have the confidence, and you will learn how to fly on the way down. You will. You always.
I agree. The parachute has to open once you take that jump.
Yeah. Yeah. And it went pretty quickly because first I started to think I just wanted to call it Jump because that really resonated with me as a person. But then there's a book already that's called Jump or Just Jump. And then I was just like, maybe Jump Solo. And then I thought, no, Solo Jump. And then it has this and this and this meaning.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I like everything that you said as far as like the three different elements to it. Obviously, sun and your nickname, and just it's a personal thing. So for me, that's the one that resonates because at the end of the day, whatever you're trying to do, if you don't actually take that first step, we don't know what you are or what you can be. So people want to say, try this, try that, but until you do it, nobody's actually going to know what you can actually do. So I think it's really powerful.
So true. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. So I want to talk a little bit about confidence. So you mentioned that just now. So one of the things that you mentioned in the book is that you have learned to build enough confidence to feel ready to jump at any moment. So I'm reading it.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through that process? Like, how can someone build confidence in order to actually do the things that they want to do?
Well, I think it's a lot of failing. And this sounds horrible because when you fail, you don't have confidence at all. But what happens with me is when I fail, of course, I cry and I'm insecure for a moment, but I end up getting stronger. So I've realized that the more mistakes I make, or I don't like to use the word mistakes, but the more failings that I turn into lessons and opportunities, they make me stronger and they push me closer to who I am as a person. So through the years of taking risks, I've fallen and I got stronger. Sometimes I won and I got stronger. And then when you win, you grow confidence. But when you fall, you actually at the end grow confidence too, because now you know if this happens to me next time, I'm prepared. I know how to deal with it better. So that makes you feel confident. So either way, when you win or when you lose, you grow a confidence, but you have to take the risk. That's why I tell people all the time, like, you will never grow confidence if you not even choose to take the risk or not even choose to get out of your comfort zone, because you will never face your own fears and face your own challenges. And that's where the power is at. That's where you get stronger. That's where you get more confident. And on top of that, what really helped me is I traveled a lot. You meet a lot of new people. And when you meet new people, they tell you something about your personality. So for me, for example, they say, oh, wow, you're so positive. But when I would stay in Amsterdam, I never really realized I'm that positive. But when you meet and when you travel and meet new people all the time, and I keep saying these things about your personality, you start to think, well, I guess I'm that positive. And then it grows confidence again. So by traveling and putting yourself in, and I'm not saying everybody should move to the other side of the world, but even putting yourself in new circles, like even trying to go to a different gym or try to go to a different bar or try to get your coffee at a different place, new people are going to meet you and they're going to say new things about you. And then most of the time it may be a compliment, and that grows confidence too.
No, that's awesome. I love it. So like kind of like to go back to where we started as far as like what does it mean to fall and how does the person view failure and different things like that. So for me, really, I think one of the best things that I heard this year was, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So I love that. So it's really about mindset. So what are some of the things that you can share with us about how to develop this positive mindset?
Well, I feel like it's something also that comes naturally for me a little bit.
Okay.
But I've learned to be very open-minded, and I learn also from a lot of other people's mistakes. And then I try to, when I talk to other people, I always try to ask them too, what is positive for you? Like, what did you learn from this mistake? And then from them sharing their story, I learn again too. And then if something like similar happens to me, I most of the time hear that voice back in my mind. And I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, last time we spoke about this, so maybe I can use this power. And then also something that really helped me with positive thinking is I learned to see the negative voice in my head as a different version. So I'm not seeing it Solange, like I call my negative voice now Soraya. So when I'm down and grumpy and I'm like, oh, you're ugly and you can't do that and you're invited, like all the negative stuff, I go, okay, Soraya, shut up. Like, this is not you. And then I'm like, Solange knows what she's doing. So don't let Soraya like bother you and disturb you, because like you're here to just make things happen. You're not supposed to listen to Soraya. And that helps me because then you can see it as something else. It's a voice. It's not you.
I think it's good that you're able to compartmentalize that and say, okay, this is not coming from a good place. So I'm going to put that where it belongs and I'll keep focusing on what I need to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. And it just helps, because we all have fears. We all have the negative voice in our head. It's not like it doesn't exist, but when you push it to the side and when you can able to like see it as a different vibe and not identify it with you as a person, it's just so much easier to call it out and to stop it instead of to just let the voice take over.
I totally agree. 1000%.
Yeah.
So I wanted to read something, a part of your book that says the following. So my life is pretty similar to a heartbeat on a monitor in a hospital. And when I think about it, I'd personally rather my heart be beating up and down through the highs and the lows, full on, feeling truly alive, than the smooth link on the monitor. Tell us why this is important to you.
Because I just when life goes like this, and I know a lot of people that prefer to live like this. They like to know every Monday they're eating this, every Tuesday they're going to this gym, every Wednesday, you know, it's comfortable, and I get it because it's a routine and we all need a routine as a human. But I am a person, I'm extreme and I'm impulsive.
Mhm.
So what happens when you're impulsive, that whenever you feel like something, you just do it. Which means if I'm angry, something else, another choice might come out when I'm happy. That doesn't mean that I do everything and like all the time, because I still listen to my intuition and still wonder, okay, is this actually going to give me a good feeling or a bad feeling? But I just I like the challenges. I like the risks. I like the adventures. So if I'm at home at the couch not doing anything and someone calls me, it's like, hey, we have to go, just like get in the car and just drive around. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then because of that, my life, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, because it's always an adventure. I never really know what's happening. And I actually like it. It excites me to not know what tomorrow brings, to not know what's happening. And eventually I end up dealing better with changes too, because when Corona, for example, happened, my whole life changed. But I wasn't scared because I'm used to it. I'm used to changes. I'm used to challenges. So I'm like, all right, a new challenge. I'm here. I'm up for it. It's life. It goes up, it goes down. We'll see where it goes. So that's kind of where that feeling came from. Because, and then on top of that, why I wrote it down like that in the book is because when the line is like this, when your life is like this, in a hospital on a monitor, it means you're dead.
Right.
And I
Right.
always say, when you're not growing, you're dying. So
Right.
let's just grow and let's just go up and down.
I love it.
Mhm,
I love it.
mhm.
No, I love the correlation between the monitor, the flat line, and really just a life that's just kind of okay, predictable. So I like that you're
Yeah.
not afraid of a challenge. And so how long did it take you to get to that point to where you kind of just know that things are gonna not always go a certain way, but you'll be able to deal with it as it comes?
I learned that by just doing it. Like by taking the risk and jumping and actually falling and then doing it again and not letting it like pull me down, but deciding to be like, okay, I failed. That's okay. I'm a human. I make mistakes, or maybe I tried something that wasn't for me, or I wasn't ready yet, or maybe I thought it was for me, but I figured out it wasn't. It's okay. Life goes on. And I always feel like you always have a choice with whatever you choose to do. You have a choice, but that's also in your responses. It's also in your reactions to the moments. But then on top of that, even when you choose to decide something, you can choose to change your choices every 10 seconds. Like, and that gives so much power, because when you choose to do something, but you figure out it's not for you don't have to keep on doing it. You can choose again and you can choose again. And when you choose to make the choices that feel good and that feel like it's for you, then life gets so much better. And of course you're gonna fall. Everybody falls. But you can choose how to deal with it. You can let it ruin your whole future by talking about the one mistake you made in the past. Or you can say, you know what? I screwed that up. I learned from it, or it wasn't for me. I can make a new choice today. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna deal with it?
It seems like your personality embraces change more naturally than maybe certain personalities, and like taking risks is not like that much of a big deal for you.
Of course, in the beginning it was way more. But
Mhm.
when you, with everything you do consistently or try to do more often, you become more confident with it. So now I'm like, okay, I can handle it. But like 10 years ago, I would be like, oh my God, Corona, what am I gonna do? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's also experience that helps.
Definitely. So what would you tell someone that would love to embrace this concept but has no idea where to start?
I would say start to think, with everything you do today, does it give you energy or is it taking energy away from you? So it can be your job, it can be the study you're doing, it can be your friends, the sport you're doing. Is it actually giving you energy or is it sucking it out of you? If it's sucking it out of you, try to make a different decision. Try not to go do that anymore. Try to not hang out with these people anymore. And if it's giving you energy, go dive more into that. Go give that more attention. Give this person more attention. Give this idea or this dream, or, and it doesn't have to be like, I even say that about the jumping part too. It doesn't have to be a big jump straight away. Sometimes it just can be like a little skip. Just take one step further, dive a little bit deeper into it. Or if it's taking energy away, take a little step back, and then the next day another step back. It doesn't have to be like a full-on cutout. But you'll see when you do that, when you just listen to what gives you energy, you get closer to who you are, and you feel more confident, and you feel more better. And when you feel better, you're vibing better, and you get a better mindset, and life gets better.
I love the energy. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. No, that makes sense. I really like that. What you said about energy, that's so important. And I think a lot of times we've been conditioned to just like stay in certain situations just because they're safe, or just because that's normal according to society. However, if you think about it deeper, you realize, like, is this what I truly, truly, truly want? And I think that's like a very simple but important thing to realize.
It is, and it's so easy to blame everybody and everything, right? It's, I never learned that as a kid, or society told me this, or this is just how I grew up and this is now my life. I honestly hate the victim role. I'm very allergic to it. You have life in your own hands. And when people say, well, this happened to me, I'm like, of course. And don't get me wrong, sometimes bad things do happen to you. It happens, but you can still respond by taking your own powers back and saying, what can I do in this situation? What do I do have control of? And I know, like you just said, a lot of people, it's safe and comfortable and it's scary, but all you need is to make one decision, just one. And if you have the right people around you that actually support you in that step, you're going to be fine. You're absolutely kind of. And then what I also say sometimes is like, if you need to make a jump, think about the worst case scenario. Think about the worst case scenario, what could happen to you? And if you think that you cannot handle it, then maybe don't jump yet, but try to find like tools that can help you to get ready to jump. Doesn't mean you have to study more, need to get better friends, you need to like work out harder, need to read more books or watch more videos. Whatever you need to do to get more confidence and more tools to get ready to jump, then go do that. But if you feel like you're ready to jump and the worst case scenario is not that bad, then go for it. Like, go and fly.
I love that, because that's actually something I was going to ask you right now as well too. So like this whole concept of waiting to jump, I think it's real good to make that distinction that maybe the timing might not be when you need to make that jump. So how can someone who maybe likes to seek the advice of others, or who has mentors, not get the wrong advice spoken into them to where they don't make that jump at all?
Not everybody's for everybody, right? And it's the same with coaching, like life coaching. It's a whole new niche that is coming out, and it's so popular, and I love it because I'm in the niche, you guys are in a niche, but I'm not scared of it too, because I always tell people not all coaches are for everybody. Just like the other, not all clients are for all coaches. So it's very, very important to pay attention to who are you and what is important to you. And then find people in your circle. It doesn't have to be a coach straight away, but find people in your circle that have similar mindset and ask their advice. Ask if they have tips for you, or ask how they are dealing with those challenges, or with those, sacrifices. Because if you have connections with somebody, if you have similar mindset or similar backgrounds, you can relate better. I think that can help. I think it can help to find the right people that actually fit you or your personality. Because I can tell everybody what to do, but I'm a very extrovert person. And if you're, for example, very introvert, I can tell you 20 times, oh, you just got to tell this and this guy. But if that's not your character, you're going to be like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't, but maybe if you're an introvert, I should tell you, okay, don't go out there, but just write a letter and put it in the post and or email these people. You know, like, you have to adjust, but that's why it's important to find people that have a connection with you or an understanding. I'm not saying everybody should be the same, because we can also learn from other personalities, but figure out who you are and figure out who and what works for you.
I like that, because I was going to go back to that. It starts with figuring out who you are, to then know, okay, I'm not going to allow just anybody to speak life or speak death onto me.
Yeah, that's
exactly
true. Because, like, for example, Jeremiah, you take certain types of risks quicker than me, for example. Like, sometimes I'm a little bit slower with certain things, but then with other things, I may be faster with taking risks. So it depends on the situation. And he is very inspiring to me. So I learn a lot from him, but I also need to know myself to be like, okay, so you're inspiring me, you're supporting me, but what am I comfortable with?
Exactly.
And how much time do I need?
And it is also okay, because we're not all supposed to do the same things. We're not all supposed to do it at the same timing. And at the end, as long as you get there, that's what matters, right? Like my life, for example, I it took me 2 years to get my artist visa, and I lived in New York. And then when I finally got it, and I always wanted to live in New York, I didn't like LA that much at the beginning. I realized that for the work that I wanted to do, I had to move to LA. And I said, man, I don't feel ready right now. Like I've just invested all this time and energy into New York and my people there. I don't want to restart in LA. So then I went back to Amsterdam, and then a year later I was like, I think I want to give it a shot. Like I've literally put so much time and effort into getting this visa. I don't want to just throw it out. And then I ended up going back to LA, and I still achieved my goals. So yes, maybe it was a year later, and yes, maybe I needed to go home first and find myself back to actually find the powers and confidence back to jump again to LA. But it's my life. Who cares? It's a year later. Like nobody's like, hello, girl. It's me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in your book, you talk about feeling grateful versus being a grateful person. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, because feeling grateful is when you, for example, you do your groceries and you're looking around and you're like, you know what? I feel grateful. I have money to buy my groceries. I can eat healthy. I'm grateful for having this and this in my hand. I'm grateful for the love that I feel, whatever comes to mind. That is feeling grateful. And you can do that at any moment of the day. And I completely support people to do it as much and as often as you can, because it really puts you in a positive mindset, and it will make you stronger. And I always tell people I'm never sick. Like I'm never sick. And I really think it's because this an energy and a good mindset can help in that. But being a grateful person is a different thing, because being a grateful person is someone who is still grateful even when things are hard, or when things are challenging, or when things are not going the way you wanted it or thought you wanted it. Because it's so easy to, when things, negative things happen to you, to go like, well, screw everybody, I'm done with everything, and blah 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 blah. We all have those moments. But when you actually are able, and again, I'm not saying don't feel what you need to feel, like feel what you need to feel, let it out, but give yourself a timer and be like, okay, I was grumpy for the last hour, I was angry for an hour, I'm gonna zoom out. Like I always like the idea of, you are a human being, you're on the earth, zoom out. Is this really still a problem? Like that already helps with that mindset. And when you then come back to earth and go back into your body, basically with the zoom out, and you go, actually, this was a problem, but is there something that I could be grateful for because there's something I learned? Is there something that I believe that can push me now to something better? When you can turn into that mindset and actually see everything as something that you are grateful for, even though that sounds a little bit extreme right now, but when you turn into that mindset and into becoming that person, you become a grateful person. You're going to see everything as a lesson. You're going to see everything as something that happened for you instead of something that happened against you.
How can someone stop blocking their possibilities?
By going into the victim role, first of all. And second of all, by not standing in your own powers, but always giving your powers away. So always saying, well, this is happening to me because he was angry, or because she didn't think I deserved it, or I always have bad luck. You always have a choice. Mm-hmm. And what are your choices? Like, what can you control? Instead of talking about what you cannot control, start talking about what you can control. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you are actually opening the door to opportunities.
Wow. Well, Solange, you're definitely someone who's got a lot of inspiration, and a lot of people need this inspiration to improve and to empower themselves. So what's next for you? What can we expect for you in 2021?
I think what's going to be next for me is, this book gave me a whole new passion and drive to continue inspiring people and actually making connections and helping people. So what I want to do is, I want to start an online business. I'm not saying I'm done with dancing and modeling and all that stuff, but I want to start an online business where I'm going to go into life coaching, but I'm going to make it more specific and focus on people that have dreams. And I know we all have dreams, but people that are actually willing to make them happen, but they just need those little extra tools, or the little extra confidence, or a little bit more self-awareness to make that step to actually make it happen. Because I've made some of my dreams happen, and it's just the most amazing feeling that I want other people to feel. And a lot of times you think it's so much harder, But once you do it, you go, actually, it wasn't as hard or as difficult as I thought. And I just want to inspire people to make that jump.
Wow, that's awesome. You have a copy of the book laying around that you can lift up?
Yes, I do, actually.
Show us what the book.
This is me. So this is me in Curacao, the island that I'm from. You might know where this is, Casabao. Yeah. And then it has 11 chapters, and it also has some pictures because I've traveled to more than 50 countries. And so just to prove a little bit that I'm not just talking, but I actually did it. There's some pictures in there.
People can find this anywhere where books are sold, right? Online, Amazon.
It's already on my website, solangezindzi.com. It's now written in English, but there's going to be a Spanish version coming out, and an audiobook, and there's an ebook.
Perfect.
Nice. And where else can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Solange Zindzi and on my website, solangezindzi.com.
Okay.
Awesome. Wow. Well, Solange, thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything you did with us. And we truly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And thanks for sharing your energy with me.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our show for today.
Thanks again for tuning in.
And as always, like it or not, Beard and Curls is the new his and hers.